Welcome to the Serrano Brothers podcast. We are twin brothers who are pastors in the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America. We talk about faith, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, culture, and anything else we think is interesting. Thanks for joining.
Hey everybody, I'm Josh.
I'm Jeremy.
And this is the Serrano Brothers podcast. Today we're going to be talking about the bishop selection and the thing we got coming up. For our podcast, we're going to be interviewing different bishops candidates. And Jeremy, I got to tell you, when you first proposed this idea, and I think we have it on another podcast, I was not on board with this.
Yeah, I think this is the episode before this. I'm not sure if I mentioned it, but we definitely talked about it afterwards, how cool it would be to have a long-form conversation with bishops candidates, right? Because it's so regimented the way the process works, and you don't really get to spend much time with the candidates unless you really know them. Now we know some of the candidates because we've been in ministry in this area for 10 years or so.
Yeah.
But I think that it's going to be especially beneficial for our lay people who may not know these bishops candidates.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think it's going to be. I think it's important just to get to know people, right? Like we. I think you're right about it being very regimented, and sometimes, like I think, like our last bishop election, what did we have? We had the profiles that we receive, right, and then we had they had a couple of speeches that they gave, and then we kind of just elected the bishop, right? And so it seems now that more than ever, that we should know who we're electing as bishop, like really know them and like really kind of have good, thoughtful conversations with them. And so so whereas I wasn't on board with this before, I'm on board with it now. And I'm excited to just have a conversation with them. And I think, go ahead, you're going to say something.
Well, I was going to say one of the things that I think we often think this kind of thing is like campaigning, but I don't think that's what this is. I think that this is an opportunity for them to show who they are, right? And my hope as a part of the series have coming up is that each person that comes on, we ask them questions and then clarifying questions and hype them up, every single person that comes on, so that they can put their best foot forward and show what they're really about to any of our listeners or watchers on YouTube.
I like that. I mean, because we're not out to have any gotcha questions, right? Like we really just want to hype people up, right, and we want to get to know them, you
Absolutely.
know? And so this way people can make the best informed decision, guided by the Holy Spirit, on who should be our bishop. You know, it was such a it was so unfortunate the way everything happened that for the reason that we had to get a new bishop.
Indeed. Our synod has been through some trauma.
Right. And so it seems so important that the lay people, the pastors who are voting, they really take the time to try to delve deep and discern who should be our next bishop.
Right.
So I think some of the questions that I kind of want to delve deeper in is just talking about their own spiritualities.
Yeah.
Like I want to know, like, I mean, this is maybe a preview of the kind of questions we'll ask, but like, why are they Christians?
Yeah.
What are the spiritual practices that they hold on to, that are meaningful for them? I want to know if there are any particular scriptures that they have memorized that they hold on to and for comfort or that are meaningful for them. I want to know if there's any hymns that they love.
Oh, that's so you.
I want to know kind of what their vision is for our synod. And
I'm hoping that they'll also be able to articulate the gifts they believe they're bringing to the office. Because my hope is that everybody talks about their different gifts, and then we all discern together what gifts we believe the synod needs for this time.
Mhm. Yeah, but I really want to know like specifics too about those gifts, right? Like how do they think they hold those gifts?
Right.
Because sometimes it's kind of like there's a lot of canned answers, right? A lot of, and so maybe we could delve deeper into what it means that they have those gifts.
Right.
Are there stories behind them? Are there ways they've discerned those gifts? I guess that's where I'm at with this.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about this. I look forward to having these people on, and I think we're going to release them like a couple at a time. And so we'll put it on YouTube. We'll put it out on Apple Podcasts because that's where we have this stuff, and the website too. But I think we'll do a couple, release some, do a couple, release some, so that way we're just releasing them every couple, because I gotta edit, I gotta do all the technical stuff that goes along with it as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, but Monday we have the Reverend Tuhina Rash joining us, and that's going to be a lot of fun as well. Now, she is not a pre-nominee for the bishop candidate, but we're just interviewing her because I have always wanted Tuhina to be our first guest. And since we having all of these pre-nominees come on, I had to give her a call and say, hey, we need you to come on the podcast before we do this series, because I've always wanted her to be the first guest on our podcast.
Excellent. I think that she would be a great first guest, and we both love her dearly. And so it would be awesome just to sit and chat with her for a while.
I'm looking forward. I don't know anything about G's magazine.
Oh yeah.
And so I don't know anything about it.
You gotta sign up, fool. You gotta sign up. Well, when I found out that she got the job, I immediately went and got a subscription.
You're a good friend. I guess I'm not that good of a friend. I gotta do that.
No, but you know what you do that I like? I like that, like, if you have friends that write books, you immediately buy their books, whether you really or not.
A shelf of just all of my friends' books. Like just all right. Like no matter what. I got a friend who's a horror author, Ben Monroe, who's a Lutheran in this synod, and every time he puts out a book, I buy that book. Now, sorry, Ben, I haven't really read those books because I'm not really a horror fiction writer, but like I want to support my friends and what they do.
That makes you a good friend too.
Indeed.
Is there anything else that we should discuss about like what we're going to be doing?
Yeah. I don't know. I think that just we're going to have these bishops pre-nominees. If you all join us on YouTube, if you join us on the website, share these with your churches, so that way, especially those people who are going to Synod Assembly can get a chance to hear from them. And we are not going to interfere with all of the stuff that's already going on, like the official stuff, because we're outside the system. We're not right. A part of the system at all. We just have our own little micro podcast here that you and I play around with, and we're having these people on, and so, but we won't start publishing these until the end of next week.
Right. It'll be after the forum that they're having.
Right, but with the interviews and stuff, I think the first one we'll probably put out like on August 19th.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And there's certain topics that we won't touch, right? I think we should say that some of the things that we won't be talking about is well, I won't say exactly, but people will know, like we're and it's not because we're trying to be coy or talk around issues. It's just that
let's say it this way, Josh. I
Okay.
want the candidate, the pre-nominees, to talk about their gifts, their vision, what they want for the synod,
Right. Right.
looking forward. And
Right.
that may be healing from trauma. That may be all this kind of stuff. But I want to hear from them about them
Yeah.
and their vision for the synod. So we're not going to have them talk about each other,
Right. Of course.
like
Of course.
talk about each other. We're not going to have them bring up any of the old issues or problems that are currently happening. We're not going to do any of that. It's about them, their gifts, their vision for our synod going into the future.
Right. I mean, there is a section in the pre-nominee that says, like, what do you think the issues are with the synod?
Yeah.
And that they answer, but maybe we could just talk about that generally, in terms of not kind of he said, she said sort of thing, or they said, but
Right.
but more like, how do we move forward from those issues? What does healing look like specifically?
Right. Yeah. I think that's the most important part.
Yeah.
Because we are, as a whole, are pretty good at naming issues.
Right.
We're good at naming them. And I think historically we've done a real poor job of how do we actually address them and do something about the issues.
Oh, for sure.
And
For
so I'm not
sure.
really interested in naming the issues anymore. I want us to say, how do we go forward?
Right. Right. Yeah. And I wonder what each candidate's going to say. I'm like excited to hear about it. I'm actually really hopeful about who's going to be our next bishop. And like, I'm looking at all these candidates. I'm going, man, we've got some really great candidates right now. So
Right.
let's see what's going to happen.
Yeah. And I feel like because of the trauma of the past, it's truly up for anyone, that the Holy Spirit could do any, with these pre-nominees or somebody named from the floor who
Right.
we don't even get to interview, right? Like,
right, of course.
It could just be that somebody is put on people's hearts at the Synod Assembly and they, talk once and then everybody, focuses on them. Who knows? But I think because of our past, the future, we just have no idea what's going to happen at this Synod Assembly.
I agree.
And I know that when I'm talking to pastors in the area, that we all are just like, we have no idea where this is going to go. We have no idea who we want to back. It's all up in the air right now.
Right. Right.
Right. And so I'm looking forward to hearing from individual people and doing it for me. So I can decide who I want to vote for, what my one vote is going to count for.
Right. Right.
And I don't know about you, but I have that, it's not Ted Lasso, but Ted Lasso quoting Walt Whitman, right? When he says, stay curious, not judgmental.
Right.
That's how I plan. I want to go into this curious about each person and discern later, after all of this is done, when Synod Assembly time comes around, and then discern who it's going to be.
Yeah, I think that's really great. I think that stay curious is going to be our driving kind of ethos while we're doing this. So let's I think everybody should just stay tuned and see what happens.
Yeah, so we'll say August 19th will be the first time we publish something from the bishop pre-nominees, and then probably next week in the middle of the week you're going to be hearing from the Reverend Tuhina Rash.
Yeah, should we put it out there? Like, what do you want to know? Like, should we put out to whoever's listening to this, the 3 people that told us they listened to this, if there's any questions that they might be interested in hearing,
to all of our 3 listeners,
all of our 3 listeners, which includes our mother who's not in the ELCA,
right?
So,
and one is our father.
I was our father, who's
so
also
that's-
not.
So the one ELCA person who listens to us, should we ask them? Yeah, how about this? Whether you're listening to this on YouTube or whether you go to the web page for this, leave in a comment of this podcast questions that you may want us to ask the bishop pre-nominees. We can't guarantee we're going to ask them,
Good
but
disclaimer.
but we need, we have some kind of things we want to talk about, we want to chat about. And what kind of things would you like to hear from the bishop pre-nominees?
I like it.
All right, let's wrap this up.
All right. Have a good day, everyone.
Peace.